What's up? What's up? What's up? Today we're talking about all the things that we hate about the music business. Listen, we're about to run down everything that we do not like, what's going on in today's music industry, and then we're going to tell you how you should be able to combat those things. Stay tuned. This is the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your hosts, platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz. I'm Juggernaut.
I'm Mike Trauma D.
And together we make the platinum music production group, Arkatech Beatz. If it's your first time here, welcome to the channel. We are on a new channel. For those that have been following us, we want to just make sure everybody knows that our new channel is at Arkatech Beatz Pod. We got it running across the top of the video so that you can see that. So make sure that you're subscribing to the new channel where we're at. All of our updates are going to be there moving forward. Listen, before we got into this, we were talking earlier, before the camera started rolling, we started talking about the music industry, the current state of the music business. And there were 5 things that we had talked about. And I guess we're going to kind of go through the things that we hate about the music industry currently. And when I first say, yo, Mike, we should talk about that because, you know, these are part of the reason why we even got to do what we're currently doing as far as having a music business podcast, was because there were so many things that we hated about the music industry and things that we wanted to make other listeners aware of, that, or just people who were just aspiring to be into business, just to let them know, like, this is the things that we didn't like. This is the way that we were treated, and we don't ever want anybody to go through what we went through, especially that were negative. So let's kind of go through what we see happening in the music industry right now. You know, I'll let you set it off with the first thing that you don't like, and
it's funny. It's funny, Jug. Like we put together like 5 or 6 things randomly, but like as we're going through it, man, the things are just popping up because there's just so many things.
Listen, talk about it, man. Let the folks know what it is, and let's just be candid.
So this just popped in my head. What I really hate, I really hate when cats don't share the information.
Oh man,
they don't share the information, or everybody is so, I can't tell you what's the real. I can't give you this information, or people will just give you the wrong information. And one of the reasons why we started this podcast was really just share the information, man. Like there's no harm in sharing the information. As a matter of fact, if you want this music business to grow, if you want our culture to really take advantage of this music business and thrive and move forward, we got to give the right information to each other. And a lot of these people that are in power do not give you the right information. They'll make you run around in circles. They'll create different types of scams and things within the business that will just have you going for broke, having you going the wrong way. And it's crazy, and a lot of the things that me and Jug been through, we had to find out on our own. And it was like, damn, somebody could have just said, hey, don't do that. Don't go that route. This is what's going to happen, or this is the pitfalls. And there's not enough teaching. There's not enough, people or OGs saying, hey, youngin, don't do that. Look at the contract. Don't do this, don't do that. But
do you want to give people a further insight into what you might be talking about, like a particular instance that we may have gone through that you feel like we could have gotten information from somebody else that could have helped us through our situation?
There's so many. Like, there were times we were offered certain types of deals, and it would have been cool that the individuals that are in the business that you work with constantly or have relationships with could say, hey, it would be better if I had a deal like that before. It would be better if you do this type of deal, or think about how you want to move forward with this, because the percentages ain't necessarily what it's supposed to be. The publishing ain't there's information out there, and cats don't necessarily want to share that information. They want to charge you technically for just the basic, and it's like, yo, I'm not asking you to sit down and give me the whole spiel and take the time out of day to give me the whole spiel, but there's certain simple fundamentals things that can be told, and it isn't. It's just
I,
way too many things.
I guess that kind of segues into one of the things that I hate, which kind of is the politics, and that's part of the politics of the music industry that I hate. Like it's like this, it's the politics, it's the gatekeeping, it's the if we don't rock with you, then you can't get anything, and it's all siloed and fractioned. It's I can't really get with all of that, and the issue that I keep seeing is that we're always on the losing side because we're the ones, again, like you said, that don't have access to the information. There's no access to information, so a lot of that is now we need the information, but then everything is masked in politics. We don't like this guy, or this guy's from the West Coast, this guy's from the South, this guy's Canadian, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like whatever's going on is what kind of creates the situation where everything is kind of broken into pieces. And what I start to realize is that because of the politics that are in the music industry, the ones that suffer is the ones that have the lowest information, and that's us. We don't have the information. We're always going to be the ones that, because of the politics of the music industry, always is the last to understand something, always is the last to find out something, always is the last to figure out the business models, and we never get the chance to really profit off of our own art or culture because of that.
Right.
And it's like why is it so much fucking politics in this thing? And I just don't understand. Like we understand that there can be politics, but like let's really get down to business. If everything else fails, let's just talk about the business and seeing how we can kind of work with each other in terms of business. Like, do I need to like this guy 100%? Not necessarily, but there may be some business here that we can conduct that can help to drive the culture forward, or can help this next person from not being taken advantage of. And that's what I really don't like.
Right. And the funny thing is, there are situations where, there are people in the record labels, they would rather make a whack record with someone that they can get 100% of their publishing versus making an outstanding record, a hit with a new producer, without having to take all of their, like they rather 100% of someone signed to them versus you don't want to work with this new person because they don't want to sign with you. Like, you would rather like not have a hot record. You rather not move the culture forward and not work with new dope artists, new talented producers or whatever because they don't want to sign all of their publishing to you.
I can see it both ways. I don't know. You're gonna see you looking at me like I can see it both ways. Like I can see it both ways. I can see why a person who's fought for their position wants to maintain their position.
Right. They want to keep their job too.
Right. So this is again goes in like politics, right? Because this is like conservative versus the other side, right?
Right.
So I work for what I got. I want to maintain what I got. You got to get your own. Right. And if you're not going to give me a piece of this pie, then you can't really get into the situation. Right. And then from another standpoint, we kind of want inclusion, and we want equity, and we want equality. Right. Like, why can't you just give us the opportunity? Right. But on the other side, it's like, hey, I'm not going to give you the opportunity because you need to create your own opportunity. Right. Or you need to create your own infrastructure. I had to do it. Why should I have to just give you what I built? You know what I mean? So it's a catch-22 where I kind of can understand, like, from one side where you want opportunity, and then from the other side, like, hey, if I created my own opportunities, why should I just give you my opportunities for free?
It also comes down to, like, this false reality of your talent standing on its own.
That's we can talk about that too. I hate that too. That's that false that fake narrative of it's all about talent, and it ain't that.
It ain't that. You, like, I remember when I first got into the music business, and I actually thought that radio DJs play records that they love. Like, that's why you hear it on the radio, that they get a record from the record company, and if they like the record, they play it. But as I got into business and started to move around and learn things and learn about budgets and learn there's a radio budget and this and that and the third, there's things that happen behind the scenes in order to make those things go. And I came to the realization that it's not always about the talent. It's the budget. It's business, you know. And I get it, you know. But it is discouraging that the talent takes a back seat way too often to the business. You know, there's a lot of dope records that will never be heard because the business.
That's the politics of this business, man. And and I'll tell people from even in the beginning of our careers, I'm just so glad for you. And I'll just put that out there and let people understand. Like, listen, and I've in the beginning of our situation, Mike handled all of the politics. We used to call Mike's name used to be the poly man. We used to call him, he was, pause, but he used to be out here politic and everything, and used to be out here basically rubbing elbows, making those relationships, because I was a guy that didn't like that. And and part of the reason why I didn't like it, and I have to be honest about it and be accountable for this, because I hadn't developed the skills for it. And that's part of the reason why I didn't like the politics, because at the time I didn't have the skills, or didn't have the communication skills that I needed to really be able to be myself in these rooms, right? So I kind of took that position where I really didn't like the politics of it. But then there were also things that I didn't like that I saw. It's like, this guy's being fake, or this guy says, "Hey, call me on Monday." You call him on Monday, you can't get his ass. You know what I mean? And it's like, and that type of shit, where they really don't have no interest in doing business with you, and it'd just be better for them just to say that. But of course, you don't want to burn bridges,
Right.
and this is the game that keeps getting played, and it can get real frustrated for people who are in this business trying to really make a way forward, and they don't know how to make a way forward. It's like, why isn't this person rocking with me? And the reality of the situation for a lot of politics and this shit is because you haven't really built yourself up to the right level. And a lot of times, if you build yourself up to the right level, then politics gets a little bit easier. But there are some times where it's just blatant hate. They just don't fuck with you. They don't like you, and for whatever reason, could be jealousy, could be envy, or just could be, again, you just got somebody at the wrong part of the day.
It could be competition.
That too.
They could be in a similar boat, or trying to do some of the things that you're trying to do, and they don't want to support it because they think it's gonna hurt what they're trying to do. But yeah, that's definitely one of the major things in this business is the politics. And you always hear it, the politics, and the backstabbing, or the shady business, and it you really can't wear your heart on your sleeve when you're in this business.
That's right.
And you really can't take it personal. There's so many things going on, and people get busy too. It's not always people being shady at the same time. Cats get busy. People are running around doing things, doing that, trying to survive. So if someone doesn't get back to you, you can't really always take it to heart. Sometimes it is they ain't messing with you. Sometimes they got projects they're trying to knock out. But one thing I do say is that you got to have things going on too, to be a priority. You got to have things going on.
Yeah.
People are working with their priorities, or the things that appear to be, top notch. If you're not popping, if you don't got something going on, the people that you may be reaching out may have other things that are more priority. And don't take it personal. They may take your phone call. They may reply to your email, but at the same time, they're not trying to really burn the bridge. Because if you know something about this business, today you're down and tomorrow you're up. Yesterday's intern is tomorrow's record label A&R or president. And that's the one thing that I've learned in this business, is to kind of like accept everyone's phone calls and emails, or a reply. And if you're serious about this game, you're serious about this business, just realize anybody could be anything tomorrow. I have a Rolodex, and from the early 2000s, And it's funny that I have to update same number maybe, but their positions has changed.
Yeah.
You know, this guy was an intern. This guy was a street team member running around doing promotions in the street. This guy was, just an assistant, and then today they're the head of black music or the VP of this company or the president of this, and it's just like, wow,
And things
you know what I'm saying?
change, and they change fast.
So if you haven't, formed a good relationship and kept up with people and doing what we call politic and moving around and making sure those relationships are in tune, there may be a time you need them on that level. You need them on the VP level. You need them on this level so that you can do whatever it is that you're trying to do also. And if you haven't kept those relationships solid, you're fresh out of luck.
I hear that, man. So we're talking about all of the things that we hate about the music business. And for those who, if you need to learn more about the music business, make sure that you're going to our website at www.arkatechbeatz.com. Make sure that you're picking up our books on the music business so that you can basically make sure that you're protecting yourself and you're arming yourself against these things so that you know your business and you can't be taken advantage of. What we want to do is we want to create a platform for artists and producers to make sure that they are armed with knowledge. That's the only way that you'll make it in this music business. But the next thing that we were talking about prior was the labels cooking the books. Like if it's something that we hate is these royalty statements, the way that the royalty statements read, the accuracy of royalty statements, the integrity of royalty statements. Like this business is just wow. Like it is made to take advantage of the people who do not know. If you do not know what you're looking at, if you do not know what you're reading, if you do not understand what you're supposed to get as per your contract, if you're not making provisions for new technology, AI, MP3s, streaming, all these type of things, your ass is left out in the cold. But let's get into the labels cooking these damn books and why we hate it so much in the music industry.
Yo, Jug, like, oh shoot, I don't even know where to begin. Some of these artists and producers have no idea that the royalty rates or percentages that they signed are not always being allocated appropriately to their pay, their whether it's streaming or whatever. Like they have to realize that somebody has to input that information. Somebody has to keep up with that information at the record label. The person that was working at the record label in 2000, 2005, 2010, 2015, like
Right.
may not be there anymore.
Yep.
Who's handling your accounts? Like the person that is handling your account now and is in charge of your music was probably not even old enough to understand what some of this stuff is. Like they probably wasn't even born when you put the record out. And granted, fine.
Right.
But we have to think about when these people come to the label, are they being uh, orientated properly? Are they being taught how to do these things properly? I mean, it's a very tricky thing, and there's a lot of layers. Not to mention intentional hiding of royalties. You know,
And that's what I
right?
want us to dive
Like,
into is
like,
the intentional hiding of royalties.
like we could get into, regular day to day job, people messing up, people not doing their job properly, incorrect accounting, all of these things. That's one thing. But then on top of that, you have companies and people that's intentionally making sure that you're not getting what you're supposed to be getting. They're hiding things. They're not reporting things. And if you think about it, as an artist and a producer, the person that pays you, you are relying on them to give you the right information for them to pay you. You're counting on their honesty, you're counting on their transparency, and you're trusting that they will do good business.
That doesn't necessarily go with the music business. Like those things don't align. Like good business, transparency, integrity, that doesn't go with record labels. Like that doesn't go. That's not inherently what it represents. But go ahead, finish what you're saying.
So the joke's on you. Like you're you know what I'm saying? You're like you're waiting for somebody to tell you what they are supposed to pay you. You think they're gonna give you the right information? You think they're gonna say, yes, I owe you $100,000. Not to mention they can control, or they're in partnership with the streaming services. So they can really regulate how we pay you, how much we pay you, what's your royalty rate, how much bots are we going to put on this project. It's a very nasty game. Like I've seen royalty statements that look like they haven't moved in a couple years. But then when I look on Spotify and all that, I'm seeing it moving. Something's not adding up.
Something not adding up. And you don't have access to the data. Like you don't have access. You don't have access to the streaming data. If it's not your own record that you release on your label, you don't have access to the streaming data. Like you know what I'm saying? You're relying on what they're telling you to be accurate because you don't know. So if it's not being released by yourself, by your own label, if you're not the one that's distributing it to the distributor, like you don't know what that number is. Right. You're relying on the spreadsheet to tell you what the number is.
And spreadsheets are editable. You could just type in whatever you want to type in and send it to the client and say, "Hey, this is the number." And what are you going to do? Yes, you can audit it, but you know how much it costs to audit a major record label? How long it takes, and then is it even accurate too?
And then how do you audit streaming now, bro? There's no physical nothing. At least back in the day, you had a situation where there had to be a physical order made to a physical plant, or you know what I mean? You had to have this many covers, this much labels, this much shrink wrap. You know, you had the supply chain that would help to corroborate, you know, auditing data. Now you don't have that. Now you just have these guys talking about, hey, this is what you stream. And there's no way to know what you stream. There's no way to know what's bots. Even when they tell you that this amount of streams was bots, there's no way to know if that was really accurate, if this was bots. You know what I'm saying? The other day I saw a situation with Megan Thee Stallion where they removed 30 million streams. Talk about it's botted. How do you prove that?
Right.
How do you prove that it's botted? How do you know that it's not just her fans that got it on repeat?
So,
you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you prove that?
So Megan just has to just accept that.
That's what I'm saying. Because what happens is that you can have a fringe fan level, right? That you can say, hey, I need you to stream this when you go to bed, right? And it could be on repeat all night, and it could look like it's bots. It could look like it's, you know, on unusual streaming activity because of the way that the record is promoted or the way that your fans may or may not consume your music. But for them to just come out and say, hey, 30 million of it is just bots. Like, prove that. Like, how do we prove that, or how do we disprove that it's not bots? Right. Like you said, she just got to take it. And
so now they don't got to pay on 30 mil.
Come on, that's crazy, bro.
Or they are paying on that 30 mil, but it's going to the record label.
Bro, like,
and she doesn't see it,
and she don't get no royalties on it. Like this is a game, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a game when we're talking about dealing with, you know, the books and the labels and these things. Like, this is a game that I think people just need to make sure that they're aware of and making sure that they're playing. Like, if you're going to play this game, you got to play a little bit more on offense. Like, but once you put your faith in this system, it's like you're really getting trashed over everything between the cooking of the books. And then the other thing that I hate, which I was getting ready to go into, was the streaming royalty rates. which is
Hmm.
just nuts. You know what I'm saying? Because I hate what streaming royalty rates is at, and who determined that a Spotify stream should be worth, a fraction of a penny. Like, whose idea is this? Who made this stuff up, and who decided to sign everybody's rights to this? As an independent artist, if you're an independent artist now, you shouldn't have to be stuck into the rates that the record labels made. You're not part of that. You're independent, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
where is your individual deal for your intellectual property with the streaming platforms? Why is it that in order for us to get on the streaming platforms, we have to universally accept what the record labels accepted?
Right.
You know?
It's ridiculous, and then, you know, it's just crazy that, you know, there was no real stipulations, um, before streaming. There was no streaming services. There was none of this. So now that there is, these contracts need to be revisited. And if you're an artist, producer that have records out before the 2000s, you really need to look into this. You really need to go back and find those contracts and get it adjusted. You consult
Yeah.
with an attorney, get it adjusted, because it's they cannot pay you. They can't just make up a number and say this is what we're paying you on, and make you agree to that. Like, it's ridiculous. So I suggest, if you have records come, if you've been producing records and it's been out, you gotta check the paperwork. You gotta consult an attorney. You gotta get these numbers and these percentages updated, because you're getting pennies of fractions of a penny. You know, thousands of streams, and you're gonna end up with like $2.
And another thing that I don't like, and when you're saying that, is when you say consultant attorney. You know, listen, that phrase is overrated.
It
Like
is.
like it's overrated, bro. And I want people to know that that's another part of the music industry that I hate. It's like, listen, and I'm looking at the camera directly. If you don't understand the music business, if you don't understand the nuances of what's being said, if you don't understand it, if you cannot read and comprehend, your attorney cannot save you.
Your attorney, you set yourself for your attorney to take advantage of you also.
Yeah. And trust me, not all of them is up and up, and some of them will take advantage. And I call it maybe micro dosing, right? Of taking advantage. It's like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. They miss something here, charge you for it. It may not be a big thing at this time, but by the time you add up all the things that got missed or fell between the cracks, all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of mess that you weren't aware of. And you have to understand your business. And um it's so important to have somebody that had experience to tell you what you need to look out for, because you're not going to get this stuff straight from the attorneys, man. Like, you're just not. Like, we had a recent situation where we were getting a uh let me just say, we're getting a placement for a project, right? I won't say what type of project, so forth and so on. But there was basically a situation that was coming up in terms of what we should or shouldn't get paid, or if it should be more. And there was a certain nuance or detail that was missing out of our original deal that should have been added into the new deal. So the issue with that we found with it is that, hey, why is this part missing, and why is it being brought to us now when you initially did the initial deal? Like, we
Right.
gave it to you to do the initial deal. Why are you telling us now that this part needs to be more detailed, and there's an option for you to possibly get more? Why wasn't that put into the original paperwork? And this is part of the situation where you have to make sure that you're, again, aligned with your counsel, making sure that you're telling your counsel exactly what you need to be looking for, and making sure that you're versed in it. And
Yeah.
also, what I'm going to suggest to people now, and people may not really want to do this, but this is probably save you a lot of situations too, is for things that you don't understand, you guys have to start using AI.
Yeah. Yep. I was gonna say that. Yep.
Like,
Plug it in, and see what
yeah,
it spits out.
for things that you don't understand, for complex language sometimes that's coming in some of these agreements, for people who may not be able to understand the complex language, because this is done on purpose.
Yeah.
Do not sit here and think that this is just the way that it is. It's being done on purpose so that you can be taken advantage of. And this is one of the things that I truly, truly hate about the music industry. Is these things are put in purposely so that you cannot understand it, and so that you will always be in a system of disadvantage when it comes to the paperwork that you legally sign off on, right? So this is why a lot of, if you notice with some of the AI models, that some of them do not want to provide you legal language when you put in things and you tell it to give it spit it back to you, because it doesn't want to circumvent the legal the legal business, which is weird,
Right.
because what they'll let AI create all types of art and videos, but they don't want it to supersede the quote unquote legal business. Right.
Yeah.
So
They're putting caps on some of these AI programs.
right. But what you can tell the AI to do is to read a document, to provide you with a summary, or provide you with the layman's term, and then also to provide you with things that may or may be missing in terms of which will help you in your deal or deal points.
Right.
Now, it may spit out a bunch of things that you may or may not understand, but you can still continue to tell the AI to drill it down, and to bring it down to a level that you can understand. And now when you go back to your lawyer, you can have a conversation at least on the things that you need to be able to have a conversation on things that you understand, and then see if it can get back into the contract. And then even when it gets back into the contract, you still got to feed it in to make sure that it's there.
Right.
All right. Because there can be things that you discuss with your people, and it doesn't somehow make it into the contract sometimes. And you definitely have to pay attention to this stuff. And remember how this works. And this is to everybody out there that does not have legal counsel on paid retainer. If you're not paying your lawyer and you're waiting for the deal to pay the lawyer, say for example, you're doing a deal with a label, and once you get your advance, you'll pay your lawyer. And typically that's how it goes. In those scenarios, your lawyer doesn't really work for you.
Yep.
Your lawyer works for who's paying them. They work for the label. So you're not going to get the best situation for yourself. And a lot of times, because lawyers have to continue to go back and work with the labels, they're not trying to ruffle the feathers, because this is a future revenue stream. So they're not going to sit here and play too much hardball with the people who's going to basically be part of their largest income stream. Like, they're not going to do that. Just think about it in business. Like, this is just a business situation. It's like, you're not going to ruffle the feathers of your biggest income stream. You're just not going to do it. That's really their biggest client, is the label. Like, you might think it's the artist under the label, but it's really the label, because that's where all the money's coming from. It's not coming from the artist.
And you got to think about what other deals that they have that's going through that label as well, that they don't want to ruffle those feathers, because they may have other deals on the table, and sometimes they trade deals. Well,
I'll give you some on this.
They'll negotiate not within one deal, but they negotiate within the many deals that they have. They say, okay, I'll work with you and give you what you want with this artist, but the other artist that I haven't contracted with, maybe you could do something for them. So if you're the artist that doesn't have the clout, if you're the artist that's the new artist, you may not get the better deal, or your contract may not even be reviewed properly, because the attorney is really just trying to make sure that his relationship is solid with the record label that's working with him on maybe the bigger artists, which is getting more money. So it's a tricky thing. It's one of those things, and you have to really keep your eyes open and really be aware of the entire playing field.
But I hate that part of the business, bro. I do. it's like we're in a perpetual cycle of disadvantage. It's like you can't get ahead with this situation, and I think that's why you see a lot of stuff where Kanye West or Ye, always talks about, hey, contract should only be one page, and that's the thing that he keeps trying to put out there. It's like, hey, they're too complex. They don't need
Yeah,
to be this complex. You know what I mean? These things should be one page situations where you kind of know what your rights are, what you're supposed to get, what you aren't supposed to get, and
yeah,
then always have the ability to come back to the table after such and such a time frame.
right.
Like those things aren't out there like that, and wickedly people are being taken advantage of. Like it's horrendous. Like what we're looking at. So that's one of my things that I really hate about the music industry. I think one of the other things we were talking about was the manufacturing of talent in the music industry that we hated. Like the industry plants and you know the artists that get the buttons pressed for them that everybody will swear was an overnight success, but the truth of the matter is that they're pressing the streaming button or they press the social media algorithm for them, and they're everywhere and they're everywhere until they're nowhere.
It goes back to what I was saying when we first opened up with this podcast. It's disheartening that it's really not the talent, but it is called the music business. So they're really taking advantage of what they can do to ensure that they receive a profit.
Yeah,
They're going to, if they have the resources, they have the technology, they have the know-how, so they're going to, if they have to fabricate, if they have to push buttons behind the scenes and do what they have to do to make sure that they can get what they have to get in return, they're going to do it. The days of, oh, this artist is talented and we signed this artist because we believed in this artist. It always sounds good, but behind the scenes is something else, and it's disheartening, but you know, that's the business for you. And if you're one of these talented artists, you got to make sure that you know the business. If you're an untalented artist that got a deal, you still gotta know the business. So whichever side of the coin you fall on, talented or untalented, if you get that deal, you gotta know the business because they are doing things behind the scenes. And don't get high on your own supply, meaning don't be thinking that, oh, you this, you that, and then behind the scenes it's a button being pressed. And it's funny when the record label doesn't support an artist, and all of a sudden you start seeing the true numbers. You start seeing the decline, and you're like, well, how come? I thought this person was millions and millions of
other
records.
people love this person.
Like what happened? Like first week sales like used to be this. Now to this. So it's very interesting when the record label decides to hold off on your project and when they're no longer vested in you, it's a sad day. So, know your business, save your bread, stop running around purchasing the biggest, you know, without having some sort of understanding of finances and it's in business education because it comes and goes, and when it's over, it's over. So you better have something to fall back on. You better have something going and create other businesses, other opportunities for yourself. So you're not solely relying on this. I saw a video the other day of Rollo, um, and he was saying how the music business was his worst investment. You know, because he had to spend millions and millions of dollars, and he felt he was better off in the streets. And I'm not condoning that. I'm not saying that, but it goes to show that in order to be successful in this business, millions of dollars has to be pushed into it at some point somewhere. you know
That's another pet peeve of mine. I think that's another pet peeve is where it's like, is the dishonesty around the investment that it takes to really make it in the music industry. Like people don't seem to really understand that, this algorithmic thing. It's algorithm. No one knows what this algorithm is. Like no one knows. People tend to say that they know what it is. People try to pretend that they know what it is, especially when it comes to music, because you don't necessarily know what's going to hit, what's not going to hit when it comes to music. Like good records sometimes don't go anywhere. Bad records tend to go crazy sometimes. I don't know. It just depends, right? But it has everybody trying to chase this algorithm, or it has everyone believing that they can be the next, because the as if the algorithm is fair and equitable. like
Mm,
you really got a real chance. And the truth of the matter is that you don't really have a real chance. It really goes to the person who has the most money. Like that's really what it really breaks down to. And it's that thing that I don't like that puts people in this proverbial hamster wheel.
mhm.
Content, push it out, more stuff, do this, keep doing it. Da, 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 da. And it's like you're in this constant wheel, and it's like,
Chase your
yo,
tail.
yeah, you're chasing your tail, and you're thinking that, well, if I just put out enough, or if I put out more, that it's just going to be where when the truth of the matter is that one, people are either paying for promotion, right? Two, they got the complexion for the reflection, right? Or they're really good looking on camera, and that tends to resonate sometimes, or whatever, or whatever. And selling sex or whatever that might be,
That's
and you
that's a, that's an oldie, but that's classic.
or what I would say, intentional misinformation or or intentional hot topics. So people will come out and they would make a take on something that they know not to be true, or they know that they don't really believe what they're saying, but they're
Right.
putting it out for engagement and for clicks and for stuff, and they're using that to drive their social media. Like and this is that dishonest thing that I don't like. You know that kinds to push the algorithm in this way. And people say, "Oh, it's the algorithm," but it's really all dishonest. People are not really telling you the truth as to what makes their social media work. People are not telling you the truth that it takes money, or it takes the divisiveness or divisiveness, however you want to pronounce the word, to really make this thing work. And then when you're talking about the music business, then you have to do the most ratchet things, right? Or have the craziest type of music for it to really go anywhere. And it's like I don't understand what's really going on with the culture, and I really hope that it will shift. But it's this algorithmic take, and just the way that people are kind of locked into short form content, and they can't really have the attention span to really listen to something, or to really have a real opinion about things. Or everybody has to follow the bandwagon. Like, okay, this is the bandwagon. No one has a true opinion or a critical thought for themselves. Like, did you
Yeah,
think that through? I know I
you
said a lot, but
you
it is
can't.
what it is.
Like I've watched a couple of posts, and I've noticed how on certain posts, just random posts, the first one or two posts would be something so far fetched, like so ridiculous that it makes people have to respond. And sometimes it's so obvious. Sometimes it's like, I know this person doesn't really believe what they just
They're
said.
too
They're
smart.
looking they're looking for the engagement.
Yeah.
And then when you look at all the comments, thousands of comments, it's like, oh, that is all it was. And then on top of that, you have to be, is it a bot? Because there are bots programmed specifically to shoot out negative information just to get you to respond, just to get you to emotionally get upset. If
Yeah.
we put out a post saying Kendrick's record is whack, the response is going to be bananas. Like the response, we're going to get thousands of comments cursing us out, saying this, saying that. If we just say something negative like that, and you just see the response, it doesn't necessarily mean we believe that, but it's amazing how trolling works, how the algorithm works on negativity, and how comments and this thing happens. It's just it's disgusting, and it's all tied with music as well. Like it's just a disgusting thing, and it's
I saw a post the other day where somebody said that you're the commodity. You're not the consumer. You're the commodity.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, because what they've been able to do is they've been able to monetize your emotion and monetize your engagement and monetize the way that you feel about certain things. So if we come out and we can say something that's against public opinion, right? Like, talk about the election, wear a red hat instead of a blue one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is an automatic trigger. Like, this is an automatic trigger, and in the Kendrick and what you call it world right now, the Kendrick and Drake world. Oh my gosh! Like, well, what we've seen in the last few weeks, like, whoa, like this is like it's almost unhinged. Like some of the things that I'm seeing in these comments, I'm like, they're paragraphs long, and and remember when they at you, when they at you, it's like they're talking to you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I want you to respond. So I'm seeing this wild shit that that you'll say because you got a profile picture. You don't have a profile picture and you got no post.
Got no post.
But you can say the wildest shit because nobody can see it's you, so that somebody can say, hey, stand on what you said. You said it. So people hide behind the anonymity of the internet, and they puff their chest out. But if you see me for real, you'd be like, wait a minute, you kind of big. I don't know if I will be like, but that's how this is how the thing works. That you think that you can say the things that you say because you don't have any real world consequences. So this is the internet, and I see what's her name crash out this week. With Joe Budden, Cardi and a fan. She crashing out. You're making these people famous, man. Like if the one thing that we're supposed to know, and Jay-Z and these guys tell you this stuff, man, it's like, hey, when you respond to these folks, you make them famous.
Yo, that leads me to another thing, man, that I hate, man. If I don't like your record, if I don't like your album, if I don't like whatever it is, it's just my
I don't
opinion.
like it. It's my opinion.
Yeah, it's just my opinion. You shouldn't have to spend half of your day trying to convince me that this is great and this is that so and so. It's just my opinion. Like, if you like what you like, I like what I like.
No.
Fine, move on.
No, Mike.
But people will fight with you and tell you don't know anything, and they'll come and try to assassinate your character because you don't like the song. So
I'm gonna tell you what the problem is with that. The problem is that if your platform is too large, if your platform is too big, like, these people know that the world now is full of NPC bots. People cannot think for themselves. So if you say, or people are influencers, they influence popular culture. So if you say, with your platform of 40,000 on Twitter and 15,000 on Facebook, or what I'm saying, if you say on all of your platforms and say, hey, that shit is whack, and this is why it's whack. It's whack because the beat go like this, and he talk funny, and I don't like that shit. They get mad and they be like, oh, he's trying to influence all of his people because that's what it take. It take a wave. It take a wave. Like, don't think that that's what they didn't do that for Drake. They did that for Drake. They created a wave. They put a bunch of people together that had influence and say, hey, man, this guy's not cool no more. And you see, they tried to Ja Rule's do. Like, they really tried. If his music wasn't as good as it was or good as it is, this guy would be out of here.
I hate the fact
he wouldn't be able to come back from this shit.
I hate the fact that you can't enjoy the music you like and speak on it. I hate the fact in this music business, people get all riled up, panties in a bunch, get all mad and take shit personal if you're not feeling something. Like, it's not personal. Like, and people take it personal. Like, if I don't like a record and the next man like a record, the next man getting in his feelings about why you don't like the record, why you don't like it, why, yo,
It's
what you
something.
like then,
It's something
you
wrong with
know,
you.
like, dude, like, you got to understand, people come from different walks, people have different experiences, people have just, come from different areas of wherever they're from. They like certain things, it don't even be that serious. The way a lot of cats be going are so hard, trying to convince you, paragraph after paragraph. You know, some guys are reciting like old history joints and history lessons and how hip hop first started and what it meant to them. And the original forefathers and what this, that, and the third. I'm just like, yo, dude. All I'm just saying is I don't like it. Like I don't like. I know the history lesson. You know, I hate that. And I hate also when motherfuckers be trying to talk to you and they don't do their research and know who the fuck you are.
And
Like,
that's part of the reason why you're getting so much hatred because of who you are has more validity to what you say.
yeah, but sometimes motherfuckers be talking and you just be like, yo, I need you to click my bio and then come and then come back and talk to us again. Because you're making statements as if these plaques are not on the wall.
They're
You
not.
making
No, no.
sta-
This is a green screen. It's not real.
yeah, you're making statements as if we're not in the business and don't have the credits. Like, if you want to have a conversation, then have a conversation about things that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Or do the research and address us in a certain way. But when you acting us about things that you should know this already, like just go to the bio. It says everything there. Like, you know that, so why waste your asking questions or making statements that says it all? We're music producers. You don't see the credits? It says it there.
No,
So how
they
you
don't.
telling?
They
So how
don't
you telling
care.
me? So how you telling me that it don't? That's not how it works. Who are you? When I look at some of these guys, they don't have no credits. They're a blogger or
No, they don't understand that they don't really
so.
realize what it is.
I think that leads me to another thing that I dislike. Motherfuckers do not read. Read, read. Do your research. And it goes along with knowing the business. Do your research. Know what's going on. Know who you're talking to. So you can have an informed conversation. You know, a lot of these folks are just talking out their ass. They just talking out of emotions. And I get it. It's all fun and games and everything, but if we're having a serious discussion and you come into the table, know what you're talking about.
Listen, I don't even realize. Like what I realize is that one, they don't read. The second thing, they don't listen. Right? Because in one of our posts, we're just getting a hell of a lot of vitriol. I just don't get it. Like it just doesn't make
Yo,
sense
it
to
says it
me.
was 21 weeks.
Yo, bro,
20, how many weeks?
yo,
64 weeks?
this shit don't even make sense.
Oh,
But what I'm looking at is that what I said was people act as if the top guy did not enhance their relevancy.
right,
I didn't say the top guy made them.
right,
I didn't say the top guy signed them.
right.
I didn't say the top guy put them on. I said the guy
Oh,
extended or enhanced your relevancy.
right. Well, you said put them on for the independent. I guess for the independent people, but people want to hear what they want to hear, and I think what also pisses me off about this music business is that you got people coming in this music business and they don't have any reading comprehension skills, or they don't have any type of they're not able to listen and comprehend
And then
and be able
respond.
and respond. And there's a lot of that. And I do blame it. I do blame it because a lot of cats come from the streets. A lot of cats come from the streets. A lot of cats don't don't. There are a lot of cats who haven't finished uh, high school. There are a lot of cats who don't know how to read. There's a lot of cats that don't know how to speak properly. And when I say speak properly, is what I mean is, I don't mean about your slang or your lingo or your accent or your southern drawl. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being able to have a thought and relay that thought out in a way that the person receiving could understand it, so that
Yeah.
they could turn around and respond properly. Some people can't ask a decent question. You know, what are you saying? What are you asking me? Just say it. But you're gonna write a paragraph about a whole lot of stuff, and then I'm going through it. I'm like, okay, so what are you asking me? Because this has nothing to do with what I said before. So another thing that I hate about the music business is that, people get in this business, don't understand, don't know how to communicate, and then expect things. You gotta take the time to understand what's going on. You gotta spend time. If you want something, you gotta be able to articulate that and get it off. We don't have to be the best speakers in the world, but we do need to be able to convey a thought out. If we need something, if you're asking for something, you need to get that out and make your point. Because if you can't do that on a regular day-to-day basis with the people who you're networking and politicking with, how are you going to do that when you want this for your project, or you're talking to an attorney, or you're talking to the label, the head of the label, or you're talking to your marketing director? How are you going to be able to relay what you need for your project?
You can. You can. And listen, I'm gonna give you one last thing that I hate about the music industry currently. What I hate about the music industry currently is, you know, the use of, or the, what's the best way to say it? Not the use of, but the way social media is being used in the music business. Like, I don't necessarily, it's not being used in a fashion that helps to promote the culture positively. I think the way social media is being used now for the music business, it
Elaborate on
just
that.
it just like, for artists to be successful now with social media, is they have to be a content whore. And and when I say that, I don't mean like you have to put, like, sexual stuff out there. I'm just saying you have to be a person that's constantly putting out things for the quote unquote algorithm, in
Yeah.
order to get any type of traction
Fact.
on music, you know. And that's what I don't like right now. I don't think that the music gets a fair chance, because it
Right.
has to compete with every other piece of content, every piece of foolishness that's on social media.
Yeah.
And
Like it
they're
needs like it needs a visual. Like I get what you're saying. It's like, remember when records would come out and you could enjoy the record, you could
yeah,
enjoy the song. But now it's more of a, you're competing against the visual of things all over the place. So
yeah.
you're seeing a visual before you could even actually. You're discovering records visually before you're discovering it how we used to discover it.
And there is really, like, to me, there isn't really a well, I guess TikTok used to be a good music discovery app, but now it's not that anymore. Like, they moved it from being a music discovery app. Like, now it's like just another social media platform in terms of where you get information from. I think they're pretty good at that, at not really censoring too much information. Um, but as far as music discovery, man, it's not here, man. Like, you know what I mean? And like, these guys have made music videos kind of irrelevant. The things that we used to need to use to sell music, like,
Yeah.
social media has destroyed that. So, that's one of the final things that I hate is, like, okay, man, like, you can't use social media to really drive people to your music like they used to be able to do that. Like, they have made it to the point where the algorithm will suppress your music if it looks too much like a video ad or a music video ad. or music video period. They'll suppress it if you tell people your music is out now and you put it in your
Your keywords
video.
You'll get flags.
Yeah, it's suppressed, you know. So I don't, and it's like, again, that hamster wheel. Maybe I just post more, and maybe it'll catch, and it doesn't, because they don't want it to go anywhere, you know. And they've designed it that way for it not to go anywhere, but they make you believe that you have a chance of virality, which again is just the hoax, you know. So, you know, if anything, that's what I hate about the use of social media and music right now. And hopefully,
I got one more. That's a big one.
Go ahead, drop it on me.
That like, yo, the lack of respect for producers.
How do we leave that for last?
Oh my God, man! Like, it's disgusting, man. How they treating the producer, when the producer is the backbone of this music business. Music business, the key word is music, right? There's another key word in there. It's not just business. There's another key word in there is music. Without the music, where is any of this? Oh, without it, it's just poetry night. It's just talk radio.
Talk radio, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just what, you want to go to a concert with just straight acapellas? You want to go to the club with straight acapellas? Where is the respect for the people that are creating the music? When you're watching your favorite movie, and that music helps to deliver the emotions of a scene. When you're playing your video games and you got the music playing in the background on your favorite car game or Grand Theft Auto or whatever it is, like, I don't understand how the producer is like thrown on the back shelf. It's hard for a producer to get paid. And now on top of that, you have all these new artists coming in saying, we don't want you to have publishing, or we don't want you to have royalties. I'm going to pay this little $50, and that's all you get it. That's all you should get. What? We're not entitled to our publishing? We're not entitled to the royalties? We wrote the music. Are you kidding me? So this whole narrative going around with these new artists coming in, buying beats and saying, that's all you're getting, is freaking ridiculous. And then their argument is, well, I have to pay for this other stuff. I have to pay for that. I have to do my marketing. So fucking what? That got nothing to do with this. This is the business. Learn the business. This is how it is. Get your coin up. You know, and for those artists that's listening, find a producer that you can work with. Simple as that. Find a producer that you work with. Find a producer that works with you, and that y'all have an arrangement together, that y'all could do things. But to come into this game and start demanding and start feeling entitled that the producer's not supposed to get this and not supposed to get that. What? Who are you? You just started recording like last week. Pick up a book.
Speaking of books, remember our books are available now. Arkatech.com. Make sure that you're picking those up so that you can understand this music business, because man, this thing is just crazy. I agree with everything you said, because I do. And because I don't want to go on an extended rant behind you, I'm gonna let it go, because ooh, you know how I feel about that shit. And that, man, that's a whole nother.
It's very
that's
hard.
A whole other podcast.
Because that's a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other podcast. So, you know, because in all honesty, this is what we're dealing with. You're dealing with a huge disparity of understanding and comprehension, and what people are supposed to get, and what people actually own, and what is your master, and what are the rights that are assigned to your master, what you're entitled to. And because people don't understand it, this is why they take the positions that they're taking. So we want to make sure that you guys are understanding the position. And then I also understand that, listen, we have to move things into the future, right? Some of the things that we used to do is maybe antiquated, right? and we may need to kind of find a way that's a little bit more balanced, so that it doesn't feel as if artists and producers are taking advantage of each other. But what I realized is that a lot of the tyrannical ways of music labels or record labels and what they used to do to artists, now the independent artists have become the tyrants.
Trickling down. Yep.
Yeah, the oppressed becomes the oppressors. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and it's like we didn't learn anything different from the label, so now we're just trying to say, hey, this is just the way that it is. And like, nah, like, you know, some of that stuff can change.
Yeah.
Like, should you be paying a producer 3% or 4% of a royalty in 2024 when the only medium that's available is streaming? Come on now. This is not a you know, a 1899 CD where 3 or 4% might have been significant.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the case now. All right, like we're talking about 3 or 4% of 0.003. Like, what are we talking about here? You know, like let's really get it up to modern times, and let's stop playing these games that people are playing. Like, let's be real about it, especially now that we are understanding where the revenue comes with. And this is why we suggested everybody puts out their own album. You put out your own album so you can understand where the revenue is coming from.
You understand? That's a good lesson. That's a good way to learn what you're supposed to get.
Yeah, like you have to put your own album out so that you can see what you get from the distributor as 100% of a song or 100% owner of a body of work, even if it doesn't sell anything. You know, even if it does a couple of streams, you're supposed to be able to look, and so you can see, like, okay, this is what I would generate as 100% owner
Right.
of this body of work. And then you can kind of make a decision as to how you can, you know, divvy up that pie as it relates to your budget, you know. But that's a conversation for another conversation for another conversation.
Real. Chime
But
in.
those
Chime in. Chime
chiming
in.
in the comments, you know, tell us
Yeah.
what you hate about the music industry or what you hate about the music business. We want to know, you know, and if you have questions, we also want to know. If you need help, we want to know. Make sure that you're reaching out to us. We know we're here to help. We're here to provide services and consultation for anybody who needs it. So, you know, make sure that you're reaching out to us at our website or on social media, and then schedule a call with us, and then we'll be able to see how we can help you to move your needle forward to get you educated for your music business and doing the things that you need to do to get set up in the right way. But any parting thoughts for our people out there?
I think we've said it all, man. It really just comes down to education, man. Like you really can't go behind it. You can't run around it. You got to be educated in what's going on. You know, you got to know a little bit of the history at least, and you got to know the music business. You got to know how to communicate. You got to know all these things so you can make the right decision. You got to get the right information to make the right decisions. You got to be able to relay what you want. You got to be able to strategize and plot your goals out and be able to relay that information to whoever you're working with so you could get to where you need to go. And it takes a certain level and
Yeah.
and if you feel that you really just want to focus on artistry and you it's too much for you, you're putting yourself in a bad situation. And at that point, you better have someone at least in your corner that you can trust that can handle those things, you know. And even in those scenarios, you got to be super careful, you know. Education, man, like so it comes back down to, man, education.
That's real, man. Folks, that's the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. Make sure that you're following us at architectbeats.com. For the pod, we have a new Arkatech Beats pod. That's the new social media handles. So make sure you're following us there, and then also
And
following us at Arkatech Beats.
we got some new channels about to pop up. Also, some
We got some new stuff that's getting ready to come out, which is basically going to be a channel dedicated to learning music production. We're going to start basically giving you guys the tips and the tricks to music production, not just music business. That's going to be a separate channel that we'll be announcing soon as it's ready for you.
And we have another channel where it's just some
Music.
straight up Arkatech beats. You get to hear some tracks, rock out with us. If you hear something that you like, reach out, and we could work on get it on the project.
Collaborating with artists now, right?
More get it on the project and get you going. You know what I'm saying? So reach out to us.
Definitely. Until next time, folks, make sure you're staying safe out there. The world is crazy.
Crazy.
They try to take a shot at the at 45.
Bang.
Man, it's a crazy time out here. People need to be safe now. Be safe now. Peace.
Arkatech.